Long ago, in the vast plains of ancient Mesopotamia, there existed a mighty kingdom called Uruk. This kingdom was known far and wide for its wealth, majestic palaces, and its ruler, King Azar. Under King Azar's rule, Uruk became a flourishing kingdom, its people living in prosperity, and its lands brimming with golden harvests. King Azar was respected for his military prowess and shrewd governance, yet he was often blinded by his pride. One evening, as King Azar was celebrating a great victory with his court, a stranger entered the palace. He was an old sage with a long beard and humble robes, his face marked with lines of age and wisdom. The guards hesitated to let him in, but the sage insisted that he had come to deliver a message for the king. Amused, King Azar allowed him to enter. The sage stood before King Azar and said, "O king, I have traveled far and wide, and I have seen kingdoms rise and fall. I have come to offer you a piece of wisdom. A kingdom ruled with pride will one day crumble, for no man is mightier than humility." King Azar laughed, brushing off the sage's words. "Old man, look around. My kingdom is prosperous, my army undefeated, and my people loyal. I have no need for humility when I have power. Leave, before I grow tired of your words." King Azar believed that he had achieved everything through his own skill and intelligence. His ministers would praise his wisdom, his warriors would sing songs of his valor, and his people would bow to him, considering him a god among men. Gradually, King Azar began to think he was invincible, that nothing could challenge his rule or his wisdom. His pride grew, and he became dismissive of the gods and the wise teachings of old. The sage bowed, his eyes filled with both pity and knowing. "Pride, O king, is a mountain that blinds the eyes of those who stand upon it. One day, you shall remember my words." And with that, he left the palace, disappearing into the night. Months passed, and the kingdom of Uruk continued to thrive. But King Azar's pride continued to grow unchecked. He became dismissive of his advisers, arrogant toward neighboring rulers, and harsh toward those who dared question his decisions. His people began to fear him rather than respect him, yet he remained blind to the growing discontent. One day, King Azar decided to launch a campaign against a smaller neighboring kingdom, Lydia. Lydia was known not for its wealth or military might, but for its people's wisdom and unity. The ruler of Lydia, Queen Zara, was a woman of great humility and kindness, loved by her people. When news of the impending invasion reached Queen Zara, she sent a message to King Azar, offering peace and friendship. "Why must we fight, O king of Uruk?" Her letter read, "There is enough land for all, and peace brings more riches than war." But King Azar laughed at the offer of peace. "A kingdom ruled by kindness is a weak kingdom," he declared. "Uruk shall take what it desires, for might makes right." Dismissing Queen Zara's plea, he led his army toward Lydia, convinced of an easy victory. Yet, when King Azar's forces entered Lydia's territory, they found the Lydians prepared. The people had banded together, using their knowledge of the land to create obstacles, outmaneuvering the larger Uruk army at every turn. Despite their smaller numbers, the Lydians were able to slow down and confuse Azar's troops, depleting their resources. Days turned into weeks, and as the campaign dragged on, Uruk's army began to suffer from hunger, illness, and exhaustion. Supplies were scarce, morale plummeted, and King Azar, once so confident, grew frustrated and enraged. He could not understand how a small, humble kingdom could resist his mighty army. When King Azar arrived at Queen Zara's palace, he was struck by its simplicity. There were no grandiose decorations or towering statues of the queen, only modest carvings and symbols of unity. Queen Zara welcomed him with warmth and humility, treating him as an equal, not as a defeated foe. One night, as the king lay in his tent, he remembered the words of the sage, "Pride is a mountain that blinds the eyes of those who stand upon it." The words echoed in his mind, haunting him. For the first time, King Azar began to feel doubt. Had his pride truly blinded him? Had he underestimated the strength that came from unity, humility, and love for one's people? Realizing his mistakes, King Azar decided to send a message to Queen Zara, seeking a truce. He expressed his regret for the needless bloodshed and acknowledged that he had let pride cloud his judgment. Queen Zara, true to her character, accepted his truce and invited him to her palace for a meeting of peace. Returning to Uruk, King Azar began to transform his rule. He listened to his advices, sought the counsel of the wise, and treated his people with respect and compassion. The people of Uruk, who once feared their king, now grew to love him. Under his renewed leadership, Uruk flourished not only in wealth but in harmony and peace. Years later, as King Azar grew older, he often thought of the sage who had delivered the message of humility and the wise Queen Zara who had shown him its power. He became known not as the invincible king, but as Azar the wise, for he had learned that true greatness lies in humility and service. The tale of King Azar and the lesson of humility became a story passed down through generations, a timeless reminder that the greatest rulers are those who rule not with pride, but with wisdom and compassion.